Eric Enders, yeah, he just fought Lyoto Machida
Yes,
in
yes.
Brazil.
I'm live.
Oh,
Got your
you're
hashtag.
live.
Got your hashtag on it.
What's up? What's up? What's up? All right, hey guys, welcome to the Almost Legal podcast. I am joined with one of my favorite MMA, I guess, commentators, YouTubers, and it's Full Time MMA. We're live.
What's up, man?
Yeah.
What's up, man? Yeah, full-time MMA, also known as Taco Bell Wani, one of my favorite names given to me by a troll.
Dude, I was wanting to get you to like, where'd you come up with your intro? With the babe, give me the intro with your bagel bite, whatever the hell it's called.
Baby back bagel biting bitch boy. I say hit like or subscribe if you're not a baby back bagel biting bitch boy.
Oh man.
So
But yeah, it came out of like a fantasy fight. Like how I originally started the channel, there was an old YouTuber, and his name will just say MMA Fast Topics. And so he used to do what I do, kind of, not as much. I'm like way better than he ever was, but I didn't YouTube. I used to just work full time. I was a custodian and stuff, like independent contractor. I would do in the summers and stuff. We would like do more than that, but in the year, like during the year, that's pretty much what we were. But we would wax floors and stuff in the summers. But so I would just listen to MMA podcasts and stuff. And so I would also listen to his YouTube channel. Well, he decided to go to Patreon, and he said he was going to charge $20 a month. And pretty much if you can't afford it, like, fuck you, get a better job. I was like, well, I can't afford it. But what I did was, since I knew there was a lot of people like me, because he had like 20,000 subscribers. I knew there was a lot of people like me who was looking for his name on YouTube. Like, where'd he go? Where'd he go? Like, because he said he shut his whole channel down instead of leaving it up for like advertisement. But it was actually at the time YouTube was taking a lot of channels down and stuff for copyright. So turned to find out that's what was actually happening to his channel. But he made it seem like to us, he was just going to charge 20 a month. So I ended up just making MMA Fast Topics too. And, like, okay, if they like, if it works, it works. If people want to hear my opinion, they do. And so that's where it kind of came from. And then he started trying to shut my channel down. And so I made like a fantasy fight, just like made it up off the top of my head when me and him like met up at a Starbucks, and we we got into it. I said he was sipping out of a pink straw, sharing a drink with one of his friends, one of his guy friends, and he ended up he had a bagel. And so that's where it came from. And at the end, like, so in the story, he ended up getting like the losing end of the stick, and like that's where I was like, unless you're a bagel biter like him, and you sip out of pink straws, but the bagel biter ended up sticking.
right. I stumbled upon your channel during the build up to the Mayweather McGregor fight, and
Okay.
I think I work at a desk, and you had me rolling. I forgot what you called Paul Malignaggi.
Polly McDougal's.
Polly McDougal's.
Polly
I was dying, dude.
Polly McGiggles.
Dude, he looks like he's straight from Jersey Shore.
Yeah, he does.
So what got you into MMA in the first place?
Well, back in the day, back in high school, my friend and one of his friends, his friend actually trained jujitsu and stuff, and he wrestled in high school and stuff. So he was a fan of MMA and the UFC. So he was my cousin's best friend. So he got him into UFC, and so we started going to Buffalo Wild Wings, just with our girlfriends and stuff. Like, hey, something to do on the weekend. The fights are on. It was like when Anderson Silva was big, Rampage Jackson. Those were who I gravitated toward at first. Like Anderson Silva's crazy striking.
Right.
And
Anderson Silva's how I got into it as well.
Yeah, so that's when I was a casual fan. And then there was a time in between there, like I think it was I watched The Ultimate Fighter with Rashad Evans and Rampage Jackson, and it was like so crazy the season. And then the fight as a casual fan was like, what? It was really boring as a casual fan. Casual fans don't really appreciate wrestling or game plans. And I wanted to see Rampage like, knock him out, and it didn't happen. So I think that's part of the reason I kind of got away from it, some of it. But yeah, then I came back maybe 5-6 years ago. I don't know when it was. It was a little before Conor McGregor fought Chad Mendez and stuff, and before the Nate Diaz fights. But that's when I came back and started like really hardcore listening and paying attention to everything again.
One of Conor McGregor's stepping stones was actually from a guy from Spartan Fitness in Homewood, Alabama. Marcus Brimage, the Bama Beast. That was like one of his
That was his debut, wasn't it?
undercard fight, yeah. And he beat a guy out of Spartan Fitness, and that was like when everybody was like, "Who the hell is this guy?"
47 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And back when he was who the fuck is this guy?
No, he had a lot of hype coming on. There's just I don't know what is because MMA is huge now. Like, what was that leap? Was it when they partnered or sold to Fox?
When they quit,
Or
they
those
shut
two
down.
brothers, whatever the hell their names are?
Man, I think it might have been maybe even a little before that because I think it was around, I don't know, Ronda Rousey and Conor McGregor.
True.
I think like they really brought, maybe Ronda Rousey. I think Ronda Rousey started getting a lot of her hype before Conor McGregor even. She was a lot bigger. So maybe it was Ronda Rousey who brought a lot of the casual fans like back into the sport. I'm not exactly sure the exact time, but I think it was probably a little before the sale actually, because I know the details of the
back
sale.
when I got into it, man. It was because back in the day, my pops got me into it.
Word.
Yeah, where talking about like Ken Shamrock and all those guys, like Tim Silva back in the day, when it was all like Iron Man tournaments when they just have subs and beat the hell out of each other, fish hook and eye gouges and stuff like that. Hoist Gracie coming around and stuff like that. But then when Dana White took over and then started bringing, personalities like Joe Rogan on board and stuff like that, which Joe Rogan's been like, a lifetime guy in that kind of aspect of stuff. But, that's when it really started growing. Then you had guys like Liddell and who's the California guy?
Tito
Ortiz.
Tito
Yeah.
Ortiz and Chuck Liddell. That was the first, I think, the first major thing in MMA, like UFC.
Oh yeah. Chuck Liddell's knockouts, and then that whole segment between them, and then what's Randy Couture. Yeah, the big guys. That's really brought it around, and then of course the whole mainstream fight. Now every state's getting a professional fighting license. That's what Alabama got the professional sports license for because they don't really have a professional team. They brought it back for MMA with Strike Hard. But yeah, that growth right there with bringing on personalities really started launching it. And plus giving wrestlers an outlet, and then Brock Lesnar and everybody else trying to make the crossovers really what did it.
Bringing up Brock Lesnar, where do you see the MMA going? Because you had Anderson Silva, GSP, BJ Penn, all these bigger names, and now you got these. I feel like we're in and then with Conor McGregor doing dumb shit.
What's this fight?
Who's next? Who's stepping up? Is he frozen? Are you there? He's either being really still or we're not on the phone with him right now.
Is he one of those Rolling Stones those guys were talking about earlier? Oh boy, we're down.
We're down, ladies and gentlemen, hobos and tramps, caca mosquitoes and bogarans. No, I've been like balls deep in MMA, bro.
Oh yeah, big time, man.
It's been. He'll probably call back.
I started when I was like 15 at a little gym in Alabaster, and it helped with wrestling. I started wrestling when I was about 11 or 12, and then stories of my dad, back in the day when it was Ultimate Tournaments, and that's what wrestling was in high school and stuff. And then when I finally started training and being in the atmosphere and going to fights and stuff and being in corners, dude, it's exhilarating. I mean, it is the next level. I mean, you're taking us back to like Roman gladiator days is what we're going back into.
The scary thing is how talented they are.
Boy, like Johnny Bones Jones, if he can stay off the fun stuff, he can. That guy would, be Anderson Silva all day, but you never know who's coming up. There's a couple of guys that I can't remember their names that are just absolutely exhilarating. But then now everybody was born. I guess how long it's been going, how popular it's been since the early 2000s. Now the next generation is just gonna be everybody's been training since they were little.
Well, and everybody's been training in mixed martial arts rather than just being specialized in boxing, wrestling.
Right.
Now they're learning the art of mixed, like UFC.
Well, then Dana White's smart too because he's got the loudmouth McGregor. Then you got Floyd Mayweather, and so they're putting this together. Now, what's this talk about? Like they're doing 4-ounce gloves, and
it's okay. They're in the octagon.
Yeah.
They got 4-ounce. They got the UFC gloves, no shoes.
No shoes.
But no takedown, no kicks, no elbows. But they can fight from the clinch.
They can't fight from the clinch, but
it's a boxing match
with 4-ounce gloves. Man, I think McGregor's gonna get his shit rocked.
He can. McGregor can. He is a bigger man. If he can get into that clinch, he can do some damage.
You're right, but they got to go to 155. Well, don't they? 155.
155.
Yeah. But
5-minute rounds. I didn't see the amount of rounds.
But the thing is, like, I watched Tim Silva and not George Foreman, but somebody fight at the BJCC with my old wrestling coach John Salter, who's about to go for the Bellator middleweight champion. Shout out Salter. He's going to. I saw them fight, and they took the gloves off, and it was a full MMA contact match. And it took one swing because boxers are trained to swing so much harder because the 16-ounce gloves and the abuse that they take is so much more because one shot in MMA, it's over, which is what happened. But Tim Silva, one of the old greats, heavyweights for that helped, Dana White get his stuff going, he fell like a tree in about 13 seconds.
I know. I know, right? I actually just got the Fight Pass, and I've been watching. I watched.
Well, I'll be over here then.
Yeah, I watched all of, like today, I've watched all of McGregor's fights, all of Anderson Silva's fights. It's just so impressive how talented they are.
It's a completely dynamic sport, and it's always aggressively adapting because now it comes to the point where it's like an NFL. Like anybody can be anybody at any given moment. All they need is that one play. I mean, it's just to the point where that one fight is going to put anybody on, and that one fight's going to take anybody away. That's why they had Eric Anders, who was knocking everybody out at Alabama, go fight Little Machida in Brazil. The only reason why he lost that fight was because he was in Brazil by decision. But Little Machida hung on by a string, and that's why he still got his contract because Little Machida still holds weight.
He's fighting again next weekend.
Yeah.
No, but what was I about to say? I was about to say something. What were we just talking about? Sorry, him dropping out kind of messed with my mind.
Talking about McGregor and Mayweather. McGregor and Mayweather getting into it and stuff like that, and what's going to be the next? Who's really going to be the next big one? Because right now the UFC is kind of hanging in limbo because of course reality's gone. So now the female divisions.
Did you see what she said? She's glad that all that happened because it led her to the WWE.
Yeah, and I saw a picture.
Bullshit.
I saw a meme. I'll pull it up for you here in a minute, where she said, "Whatever starts here." When she walked into the stage and called out, Triple H. And then I saw a meme where it was Katie Holmes kicking her in the side of the neck that said, "No, I think your career ended about right here."
That's funny. No, it boggles my mind. I don't get it. I know what I was going to say. I was going to talk about Mighty Mouse.
Yeah.
Demetrius Johnson. How come he doesn't get as much love as other champions? Because he's about to break the record for title defenses. Is because that weight class isn't very.
I want to see. We'll get back. I want to see a McGregor Mighty Mouse, but
that's a big leap.
McGregor's got his shots called. He won't take the fights that he knows are gonna.
Yeah, that's a big jump.
The whole Nate Diaz thing was because it doesn't matter. It's a money fight, and that's where we've revolved to. But man, the reason why is because Mighty Mouse is a mouse. He's a humble, soft-spoken guy. He talks, but then again, when you hear him talk, it's like he can't break out of that. He can't break into that Chael Sonnen and that Conor McGregor mindset where he has to run his mouth. I mean, the dude represents himself. I mean, come on now. Like you said, he's about to break the record for most title defenses, and where's he going to go from there? Who's really contesting with him in that weight class?
You're right. You're totally right. You know who I saw fight? T.J. Dillashaw.
Dillashaw. I've heard the name, but I haven't really gotten to look.
Dude,
but,
I don't know if it was just a fight I saw, but that dude. When you get to the lower classes, where they can't just knock you out pitch. That's when you get technically, the technical aspect of fighting is at its primo. Just watch T.J. Dillashaw.
Oh man,
he's actually the bantamweight champion.
Well, man, who's that? Is it light heavyweight? Because back in we're talking about Little Machida. Back in the Little Machida, Sugar Rashad Evans, and then plus many others. The light heavyweight was so dynamic because it was such a mix and influence of people. Sonnen running it too, but then now you got Yoel Romero.
That dude's a freak.
Yoel Romero, boy.
He's actually he's not in light heavyweight. He looks like
he's welter or middle, isn't he? Middle.
He's middleweight. He is a brick shit house. I love you, big.
No, because what's his name is hurt. Who's it that's hurt that Dana White and him got into a little Twitter bout because
Tyron Woodley.
That knocked the crap out of him.
He's a freak too. Boy. That would be a great fight.
Are you kidding me, man? Boy, I'll take Romero. But no, Woodley's got ended all in a split of a second. But I think Yoel Romero is just a freak.
Woodley, he's a physical specimen.
Bronze medalist in Greco-Roman.
Yes, he's insane. You look at him, you're like
bringing back the
good.
Who is he?
He's Cuban.
He's bringing back the Dan Henderson days, is what he's doing.
Oh, Dan Henderson was a freak.
Boy, he talking about that fight with Bisping where he just like after all that talking with the UFC fight, and then he just said, "All right, man," and then he didn't talk. He was just a tough guy, and then he just spitting his dip out. Then that one socket right over the top, setting up that overhand right, and then he just came down for the ref to get to him with that, that.
What about Michael
FU.
Bisping though?
He's come back.
Right?
He's come back. He has reinvented himself, but he's still a Chael Sonnen to me. And
I
so
think it's a boss because he literally almost lost his eyeball
out of the boy.
because he wanted to keep fighting.
Boy. Yeah, but yeah, Michael Bisping has reinvented himself to back up the talk. So I'm glad because Chael Sonnen relied on that wrestler aspect mentality because he's tough, but he was also juicing. But Michael
Who was?
Sonnen. Oh, dude.
Oh,
Sonnen.
yeah.
Well, majority of them are. It just depends on how quick they get off of it or what's the new product they're on. But dude, Bisping has reinvented himself, and I'm as much as I want to see his face punched in again. I like the guy. He's earned my respect through him coming back and actually backing up all that BS he talks.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
No, that was funny when Yoel Romero won that game. He's like, I love you, Michael Bisping. I love you.
He sounds like Sylvester Stallone after like a hard night, man.
Oh yeah. Yo, Adrian. We're waiting on him to call us back. His computer crashed. It's taking its time. Sorry about it. I'll stay on until like 10:30. She won't actually get here until like 10:40. All right, Brochi.
We're connected with a very
On a serious note, since we've been we've been muted for a while. Hold on. I'm gonna black him out there. Oh, what the hell was I talking about? When's he coming back? We're waiting on full-time MMA in Kansas. I don't know why I thought he was
bagel biter. What is he? Taco Bell.
bagel bite bitch boy or whatever. No, I thought he was in like New York.
He sounds like it, dude.
Yeah,
he sounds Eastern Seaboard as a motherfucker.
He threw me off. He threw me off when he I thought he was just doing a freeze challenge.
He's like, yo, Taco Bell and bagel bites. No,
Dude,
cool.
he's funny
cool.
as
He's a
hell.
cool guy. I mean, I want to hear him talk. We got him for like what, 220 seconds?
Yeah, I know. I don't know. I'm just look. MMA's balling and it's exciting and I like it. And you keep up with boxing any?
A little bit. Well, now that of course that
Have you seen Vasil Lomachenko?
No, how was it, dude? Because
have you seen any of his fights?
Lomachenko, yes.
Lomachenko.
Lomachenko, yes, I have. That dude's got a
Dude's incredible.
dude's got a chin.
He don't get hit, man. You need to watch his fights. It's incredible. It's the most impressive thing ever. He's the greatest boxer. He will be the greatest boxer of all time.
Well, Corey, what about Tuscaloosa boy?
Deontay Wilder.
How's he still? He's still reigning champ. That one
He
big blow.
is.
That
He
right,
is. He's
that
undefeated.
right hand like a 50 caliber coming across Afghani
It's
desert.
it's the competition with him that's holding him
The
back.
heavyweight in boxing is not really there anymore because
But-
you can go to MMA, make more money, and still lag your ass around. So
That London fighter, what's his name? Heavyweight.
talking about boxer. Or?
Yeah, he's.
'cause when he
they might actually fight, and then that'll prove it.
Well, I hope so.
He's the heavyweight champion of the world, or whatever.
A couple of his last fights have been. There we go. We got him. We got him.
We got him. We got
Is he back? You bring some bagel bites.
Sorry about that, man. My computer has only ever did that one other time, and it was when I very first interviewed Felony Charles Bennett. It's crazy.
That's all right. We all
Sorry.
get nervous.
Hey,
sorry.
Sorry, bro.
I'm rebooting it, and it's got an update. I'm like, oh, okay.
Oh, it's one of them times.
Oh,
that's my
boy.
life. Like
That
if
is
shit's gonna break down, it's gonna be when I need it the most.
Dude, you got it set when you shut down. It's got to update everything. Yeah, that's Hewlett Packard for you.
All right.
Please tell me it's an HP you got. That'd have been.
Yeah,
call
that's
it.
exactly.
Yeah, call it Hewlett Packard, son. Yes, sir.
I finally upgraded to like a better computer. All right, where were we at? Because I was staring at you for a while, and I was like, is this guy just being really still, or is he gone?
Yeah, I think I remember we were talking about. Oh yeah, he was talking about his father was they used to watch the old UFCs and stuff, and Hoist Gracie days, and before that Chuck and how he got into it with Chuck Liddell and stuff.
UFC was mass chaos.
That was brutal, man. That was fish hooks and eye gouges and wearing gis and getting kicked in the face with shoes and.
Yeah, I went back and I've watched UFCs 1 through 5. Like, someone requested it a long time ago. They asked me to watch UFC 1 and give my opinion on what mixed martial arts is, and so I just went ahead and started doing it for like all of them.
What is your opinion?
I think mixed martial arts, and he was talking about like back in the day compared to today. I think back in the day, it was actually just all the different styles of, karate versus savate versus wrestling versus sumo versus boxing. All of it was actually a different thing than what it is today. Today, it's not just one style. Everyone's actually a mixed martial artist.
It's funny. It's funny you said that because when you dropped off, that we kind of went into that.
Yeah.
Nowadays, people are training their entire life and not just boxing, kickboxing, jiu-jitsu. Now they're literally training as MMA.
Well, just like right down the road in Homewood, Alabama, Spartan has put out 4 or 5 successful UFC
If you plug
fighters.
Spartan Gym one more damn time.
Oh, dude, I'm just saying, man. Like,
they're great guys over there.
Dude, I owe them money, so hopefully I get them something out of this. But no, what I'm saying is, it's like the kids' classes, like the little kids in there. Like now you're what's Seth? What, the Super Saiyan kid, the little young pretty boy,
Sage Northcutt.
Sage Northcutt. That's what I'm talking about. You're getting kids like that have been training since, wrestling. You're talking about kids that have started since they were 6, 7 years old, and
He's still a bitch.
Given he is, but
Aaron Pico is a really good example. He's over at Bellator, but he started like boxing, wrestling from like 4 years old. Like they've been like prepping him to be a mixed martial artist.
Speaking of Bellator, what do you think about Michael Page?
Michael Page,
that's a bad man.
When I first saw him, when I first didn't know anything about him, and I saw his highlights, I was like, "What? Bellator has an Anderson Silva?" And I went and literally watched every single Michael Page fight, even his like sport karate fights. Like I became a huge fan. But he's only had trouble like in one fight, and it was against, I think, Fernando Gonzalez, which he still won the fight, but he was taken down a couple of times. But that's how it is sometimes when they have like a karate background.
Right.
Those wrestlers can kind of try and just take them down and not, let them have their strength. So
I want to see more. Like, there's not enough. He doesn't fight enough. I know he went try to compete with Conor McGregor when he went boxing. He went boxing, fought some guy that was like 2-12. Yeah. Beat the shit out of him.
Let's try to mop up some fame off the floor. What about tell me John Salter, since you like Bellator?
John Salter, I've definitely heard the name for sure. I probably have. I started watching Bellator hardcore maybe.
Well, because I mean that's just like, it's the MMA game is the only thing that has competitive leagues, because everything else gets absorbed. There's semi-professional football that doesn't really mean anything. But Salter, I guess here we go, another plug for Alabama. John Salter is the number 2 in the Bellator middleweight, and he was my high school wrestling coach. He's the one that got me started.
He's a douchebag. I don't like him.
Yeah. But he's
All right, going into some news.
Yeah, let's do
What
it.
Nick Diaz I see is coming back. Who do you think he should fight?
Oh man, Nick Diaz. If he's fought at 170 and 185, I believe. Most recently 185, right? If I'm not mistaken, did he fight Anderson Silva?
He fought Anderson Silva.
Did he? How'd that go?
Yeah, Anderson
He
Silva's
got
never
beat.
fought at 170. So yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, so if he's gonna fight at 185, Michael Bisping's looking for a retirement fight. And I would assume Nick Diaz is only gonna fight big names. Mike Perry called him out. He was one of the first people to say, "Hey, he's coming back." That would be a fun fight, Nick Diaz versus Mike Perry. You guys like Mike Perry at all?
Not really.
I'm not familiar.
Yeah,
He's not that big of a name.
He's like a knockout artist. He's not. He's some people say he's got exposed in his last fights because anytime people like take him into the later rounds or just don't get knocked out, he's lost the fight. It seems like
Kind of like McGregor.
He did. Yeah, he's only lost in the UFC that once, but yeah, pretty much he has. How does he won it by decision? Other than Nate Diaz, I'm not sure.
Connor, I don't think so.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So he's knocking everybody out. So yeah. But that was the thing with him. But yeah, he had a lot of fanfare, but now it's kind of dying down as he loses a couple of fights. But I was just saying he was one of the guys to call Nick Diaz out. But I don't think Nick Diaz would really entertain that either way because not enough people know his name. And Nick Diaz, like when he was fighting Anderson Silva, GSP, Carlos Condit, really big names. So I don't think I think if he comes back, it's going to be a bigger fight, especially now that his brother, has beat Conor McGregor, and that he gets a little rub off of that no matter what. He's still a Diaz.
Nobody's funner to watch than the Diaz brothers, man. Diaz brothers make money. There's nobody funner to watch than those two guys. And then I definitely want to know what's in that pen they're smoking.
That's that CBD oil, bro.
Oh yeah,
but literally Nate and Nick
right?
are literally copy paste of each other.
Oh,
like they're the same fighters, same. I get asshole.
Yeah, Nate
the
really
epitome
looks
of the
up to
word
Nick a lot.
ragamuffin is what they are.
I like Nate. He doesn't get the
I
respect he
love him.
deserves.
I love him. That dude's so unorthodox. I love him.
Yeah.
What do you think about Yoel Romero?
Yoel Romero, man, he's a beast. Speaking of the old UFCs, man, when I was watching like UFC 2, 3, or 4, one of them, there was a guy named Chemo, and he came out with like a cross on his back, and he was a big like Cuban dude. He had a cross on his back. He had the Jesus thing. Like he reminds me so much of Yoel Romero because like the Jesus thing, big muscular Cuban dude. And but Yoel Romero, man, if you know who Chemo is, he's like Chemo 2.0. But as a fighter, man, he's a beast. But it's crazy, that he's going to be rematching Robert Whittaker, and I feel like he's still got a good chance, even though Robert Whittaker won the first fight with kind of a leg injury pretty early in the fight. So. Like my head says Robert Whittaker should win, but like my eyes are like, I don't know.
You look at Romero and you're like, what the hell is that?
Backflips in the entrance,
dude. That shouldn't even be
How
legal.
is that good for your cardio?
Right.
When I saw him doing that, I'm like, come on, don't people talk about
and he's like, well, how old is he?
that?
36, 37?
I don't know.
He's past
I wouldn't want to run
man.
up on that guy.
Especially not in Kilbano.
That's like the new definition of swole.
Boy.
Dude,
boy.
Like if him and Michael Bisping actually fought, like I think we would see Yoel Romero's true potential.
I love you, Michael Bisping.
We're going to see that eye fall out all the way this time.
Yeah, that's a very real possibility.
Dude, he looks like straight from a scary movie. That eyeball freaking me the hell out.
He's always looked weird, man. But I mean,
if you had if you had to pick a fighter in his prime to see fight, who would it be? This is like a Michael Jordan question in the UFC.
Right. Man, I am a huge. Whenever I really found out about Gegard Mousasi, I believe at UFC 200, I did my research and all of that. I just became a huge Gegard Mousasi fan, and it was like he was supposed to be fighting Thiago Santos on that card. But if you remember, John Jones got pulled out of his fight, so Daniel Cormier needed a placement opponent to fight for the title. And when they started saying, oh, Gegard Mousasi is willing to step up and fight for the title, that's when I really was like, whoa. I've heard Gegard Mousasi's name, but now let me really see who this middleweight is talking about fighting Daniel Cormier. So then I found out, oh, he's fought at middleweight. like fought Fedor. It wasn't a legit MMA fight. It was more of a grappling match, but he's fought heavyweight, light heavyweight. Now he's fighting at middleweight, and he's got a lot of. So as far as like mixed martial arts, I think he's one of the highest skilled fighters. So even today, he's beaten a lot of guys, but I'm not sure if that's 100% his prime, but it could be. I mean, he beat Thiago Santos, who was a beast. But so Gegard Mousasi, Fedor, I wasn't a big fan back when, Fedor is a guy that everyone mentions with legends of the sport.
Right.
And I wasn't watching back when he was really doing his thing. So I would like to see prime Fedor, be in the moment. I've heard about his
brother, man, coming straight out of prison, just like with the most stoic, like I don't give a mother on his face, just like let's go to the yard and fight. So, and
does he legitimately have that tattoo to his face?
I don't know.
Or are you just saying that?
No, like he's stoic, like he's just like
I don't know what the hell that means. I'm
stoic. Stoic means like steadfast, like stonewall. Like he has this zombie look in his eyes, like he wants to kill people. Like Fedor's brother is pretty gruesome. Yeah, you should go for his fights.
That's what's up.
I think he got out of prison, and his first fight, he got like a knockout, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, boy, he took that because the guy was running his mouth about him, like calling him like a con and all this stuff and saying he wasn't worthy of the cage. And he stepped out there and
he took all that bonus money and sent it to his buddies back in the pen, got him some ramen noodles.
Who the hell talks?
But check this out. I think Fedor has even like denounced his brother. So the guy was talking stuff like, I think Fedor's like, hey, yeah, that's my brother, but we don't really.
He scares the shit out of me.
If you go to Russian prison, dude. If you go to Russia, nobody wants to go to jail in Russia. I can tell you that, man.
Yeah, they don't mess around. Okay, get into this. I don't know if you think it's a good idea or the McGregor Mayweather 2. How dumb is that?
Are you talking about with like the new rules they're talking about, like
the boxing match
inside the octagon? Man, I don't want to see that because for one, it doesn't make sense, and then for two, it's like what does MMA get? I mean, we got smaller gloves, we got that working for us. We've heard about Floyd having brittle hands and such, but as far as a boxing match, I don't want to see, because if Conor loses, that's going to be a huge L for MMA. Like,
you're right.
And then it's like, Conor said a real fight next. Like, he was talking about we went, I lost to a rule set, not to Floyd. Well, it's going to be the same thing. If Floyd Mayweather wins, you're losing to the rule set.
Right.
Nothing.
Unless he unless he just lives in the clinch, like. I don't know any plus. And the shitty thing is, what you just said, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that. I think everybody feels that way, but everyone's going to fucking watch it.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't want to see that shit, but I will be buying it.
No, I really kind of want to see it, but I don't want to see it because I don't want to, see Team MMA take a L because it's like, you know how much boxing people, they're just going to take that and run with it. Oh, Floyd beat him in the octagon.
Boxing is surviving like pop music surviving.
Boxing's making a comeback with Lomachenko and, all them big... Lomachenko's a bad man.
He is.
You follow boxing?
I don't follow boxing much at all. Like growing up, my cousin's dads, they were really big into boxing, so we would watch it when they watched it occasionally, but it's only when we were at the house and the fights were on. But now I've been hearing about the Lomachenkos, a lot of these heavyweights that have been fighting. I've been hearing about some of that stuff. So I don't really just keep, like, if there's a boxing every week, I don't know. But I watched the biggest events so far. I might watch, I've been hearing about Deontay Wilder. Yeah. I've been hearing about Deontay Wilder versus the Anthony Joshua guy who just won a belt. Mm-hmm. I watched that Joshua fight because there was no UFC. It was like on a day and it was in the daytime. So I was like, okay. So I actually ended up watching the fight before that and that one. That was the first time since McGregor Mayweather I watched boxing. But if they actually book, he threw me off with that. He said, "Is that a fart?"
I thought he just shit himself. I'm sorry.
I was just
egg and water.
Just go on with it.
Egg and water, bro.
But yeah, if they actually make that fight happen, I've been hearing a lot of, like, whenever I heard, Anthony Joshua called out Stipe Miocic. He's like, I might fight MMA. And, like, the comment section was just, oh, he's ducking Wilder. He's ducking Wilder. I was like, what? Like 20 people said he's ducking Wilder. I had no clue he was ducking Wilder. They're like, well, he'd rather go to the UFC than fight Wilder. So it's like, okay, if they actually make that fight, because I seen he called him out, Anthony Joshua did, after he beat the most recent guy he beat.
Mhm.
So I might watch that card as well.
Wilder's
So-
freak, dude. 6'7".
Dude,
Like,
watch that video
never
where
seen no
that little redneck was
I've seen
talking
him
crap
fight.
about
He
his
beat the
daughter,
shit out of him.
beat the hell out of that redneck.
That's the only Wilder fight I've seen. His name is Charlie Dellenbaugh. That's his name. Charlie.
he was actually notorious for doing that, like talking shit to
Yeah.
boxers and going
Oh,
into their
dude,
camps.
he's awful, man. He's a troll. He's
Straight
underneath. He's
garbage.
he's underneath the bridge.
Find a
man.
new way to troll.
Yeah.
And how do you troll people? I just get the shit kicked out of me. Like I just talk shit to the baddest humans on this planet, and they beat the hell out of me. Why would you do that?
I go on websites and post pictures of Justin Bieber, and I go as Bieber Lover 69.
I'm not even gonna think you're lying for some reason. No, but how heartbroken were you when Anderson took the dive and kind of started losing? Because I watched UFC
When he
solely
lost
to
to
watch
Weidman?
him. Mm-hmm.
Oh, it was heartbreaking, but I was ready for the comeback. And then when I saw the leg injury, I was like,
Oh shit, that's a wrap.
it's a wrap.
Then he came back like 6 months later.
And then Weidman, like, what did Weidman do? Try to like bitch out to getting like poked in the eye or something like that, getting rocked in a legal knee that wasn't illegal. And then Weidman became like a spectacle because he tried to like escape a fight through a technicality. And then
You're talking about when he fought
the
not
knee,
Musa-
he tried to
Yoel
say,
Romero?
he tried to act like he couldn't continue because of the illegal knee. But then when
He
they
fought
reviewed
Yoel
it,
Romero.
yeah, that was Romero, was it not? And they reviewed
Yeah.
the knee, and then when they reviewed the knee, it wasn't illegal. And then Weidman, they were like, okay, the fight's discontinued. You said you're done due to injury. Then he's like, no, I want to fight.
Well, then I would have still fought. Yeah. It's like,
Dude,
no.
get out, go to the house, son, to the house.
So going into Mighty Mouse, why do you think he doesn't get the I guess the recognition? Because he's like about to break a record for title defenses.
I think a big part of it is, he's kind of unwilling to, I don't want to say work with the UFC, but he's content. He's really content. So if the UFC wants to get him to do something, he's a little difficult to work with, I think they would say. And then on top of that, people have seen him lose to Dominic Cruz. And since there's not a 105 pound division, people look, when he's ranked pound for pound, they're like, he's only good at 125, some people think. Even though at 135, I think he only lost to Dominic Cruz. He might have lost to one other guy.
He lost to another short guy that got out of that class. I forgot his name. He
wasn't
yeah. But yeah, someone else has a win over Mighty Mouse too. So that's part of it for me. Like he's kind of hesitant to go up to 135. So it's like he's only really dominant in one class. And then I've heard some people say, well, who really can make 125 pounds? Some people say only, like, I've heard this from the comments, like only people the size of my nephew can make 125 pounds and stuff. And I actually think flyweight deserves a lot more respect. Joseph Benavidez, the John Dodsons of the world, the Joseph Benavidez, the Henry Cejudos, those dudes are really some beasts. So the fact that Demetrius Johnson has looked so good against them, and then even when he fought Ray Borg, he might not be as skilled as those guys I just named, but he put off a fucking flying armbar. Like,
right?
What?
Who does that?
Exactly. Like he dismantles people, he finishes people. So my only thing is part of, he's doesn't really work with the UFC. He's kind of content. He
Too busy
really
Twitch streaming his video games.
Sean O'Malley's Twitch streaming too now.
I love Sean O'Malley, bro.
Yeah, he Twitch streams too. You get a free Twitch Prime sub, and I felt bad because I used to use it on Demetrius. I'm like, I gotta give it to Sean.
Dude, I'm glad you brought up Sean O'Malley. You look at him; he looks like a straight hipster, and he's knocking fools out. Has he lost yet?
I know you're talking about.
Undefeated for sure.
Yes,
Undefeated, 12-0.
I
think his most recent fight made him 12-0, if I'm not mistaken.
And he's not very secretive about his weed habit or weed.
I think there's more to that. I think weed's just mainstream.
I saw an
now.
interview with somebody. He had a weed robe on and a blunt, a size of
Dude,
like.
I swear to God, I interviewed Sean O'Malley. Like I did a fantasy fight because what happened was he fought Tyrion Ware in his UFC debut, and I've commented on it because did you see him fight in the Contender Series when
Yeah.
That was so he fought in the Contender Series, and I was watching that because I was watching the Snoop Cast with Uriah Faber and Snoop Dogg. I thought it was fun, even though I didn't really like Snoop Dogg's commentary. It was still kind of fun. They were sipping gin and juice. Uriah Faber was having fun. So I was watching it. So that's when I first saw him. And I went crazy on his fight, like, oh, snaps, this kid is crazy, yada, yada, yada. And he commented on the video, like, dope video. And I was like, is this the real Sean O'Malley? It ended up being him. So when he made his UFC debut, I reacted to that video. And before the video, he said, I can't wait to smoke Tyrion like a joint. So in the description of my video or in the title, I put Sean O'Malley smokes Tyrion like a joint. Tyrion Ware commented on it and said, yo, he didn't smoke me like a joint, you dumb bitch, or something like that. Or you like, punk bitch. And I was like, whoa, bro, a little hyperbole maybe, but you don't have to call me out of my name. And, that was the first time a UFC fighter other than Sean O'Malley. So I made a video out of it, of course, like Tyrion Ware, disgruntled UFC fighter, calls out full-time MMA, trying to get a little whatever. So Tyrion Ware ends up commenting again, like, yo, that wasn't my account. Like, it was somebody pretending to be me. Even though he was kind of just, it wasn't, because I looked into it and I had screenshots, I had videos of him and his family, whatever. So, but I'm not trying to beef with the UFC fighter. So I was like, all right, I accept your apology. And if it wasn't you, I apologize.
Now, dude, do it. You'll end up in a Dante Wilder video.
Screw that. No, but what was that beef with John Jones on Twitter? I think he made a video about it.
It was I think the guy's a former UFC fighter, Tyson Griffin. And I back in the day, him and John Jones got into a little back and forth, and I guess John Jones just sent him a private message and was saying, like, I'm 6'4", you're maybe 5 foot flat. I've got $8 million cash, fucking $2 million in real estate. Like, he was just telling him, like, I'm alpha, you're beta. Like, why do you keep pestering me? So that guy just kept the DMs back then. He never exposed them. Oh, yeah. Well, now that this Conor McGregor bus incident happened, he took the time to try and take a jab at Conor McGregor, but in doing so, he threw John Jones under the bus. He said, oh, look at Conor McGregor throwing away his Burger King deal faster than John Jones threw away his Nike deal. And so I was saying, like, Conor McGregor hasn't even lost his Burger King deal, so he's just throwing John Jones under the bus for nothing, kind of. But so John Jones responded again, like, yo, why are you still going at me, dude? What's wrong with you? And, but he said it a little more rudely than that. Like, he didn't, I don't know the exact words, but essentially, again, like, dude, you're a midget. I'm more successful than you, even though I don't have my Nike deal. Because he got a little salty about the Nike deal comment. Oh, yeah. He was like, as a wrestler, high school wrestler, my dream was to get a Nike deal, which I got as a fighter. So, for you to be shitting on me and shitting on Conor McGregor. So he responded to that. So the guy took the time to post those old 2-year-old text messages or private DMs from John Jones. Like, yeah, you're a pretty bad person. But he didn't show what he was saying to John Jones, because John Jones in the messages alluded to saying, like, why do you keep going at me, dude? Like, why do you keep going at me? So he didn't show where he was going at John Jones. He just replies to John Jones, or the reply from John Jones, like playing the victim.
So he just pulled a whole mainstream media news move.
So yeah, now he's getting some Conor McGregor, John Jones headlines. A lot of people, I didn't know who he was before this, so now he's getting a lot of attention from this.
Why can't John Jones get his shit together? Like boner pills, tainted meat, or whatever. He is incredible. Why? Like, if he really juiced up before the DC fight, he is a fighter, man. Dumb person.
That's my favorite fighter. Most dynamic.
To me, that's the only thing I can come up with. Because this is what's interesting to me, because Anderson Silva and John Jones, they both had dick pills at first, right? That they both popped and they both said it was dick pills. Well, since then they've both popped again, and you can't use the same excuse twice. Right. And it's funny, they both had, they both used the same one at first. Like, they both were going and getting fucking green rhinos from the gas station. Like Anderson Silva told John Jones, like, no, they work, bro. And so they both popped or something. So, but then they both popped again. And going into the John Jones DC fight, I actually predicted DC to win, because I was like, we could be seeing a clean John Jones for the first time. And I was just like, before USADA, it was John Jones. He was dominant. But then we seen him fight OSP, and he didn't look the same. It could have been because he was trying to, stay healthy for the DC fight, or it could have been because it was the first time we saw a clean John Jones. But either way, I was like, Daniel Cormier, now, if we see the John Jones we saw versus OSP, or if it just so happens to be a clean John Jones, DC could win. So whenever John Jones actually knocked him out, I was like, okay, it's clean John Jones. He knocked him out. This was, hey, hats off to John Jones. It was dick pills. You can't even question his legacy. That's how I was like you can't even question his legacy anymore. Like, he did it. He's the man. And then he popped again, and I'm like, oh, what?
Right?
You
That
know,
was the biggest curveball. But then
So I don't.
you look at the shadiness of it though. Like, he was clean, and then they tested it. Like, when were these tests? Like, one was
they're done
prior,
they're done
right.
pre and post.
And then it was clean again. Like, after that one.
Well, my thing is like, even with regardless whatever, man, John Jones baited that man for rounds. Regardless, you can call it whatever you want.
Yeah,
that head kick with or without, dude. He baited Cormier, and then I mean,
The sad thing in the pre-fight press conferences, he legitimately said,
that was years ago.
he said,
you're not gonna hit me with that round
Yeah,
kick
he
or
gave
whatever.
him years to work on that. Like, dude, you're not. Like, he was telling me, like, we have a tendency we see in you, Daniel Cormier. He was like, oh, I know the tendency you're talking about. And he was like, no, you don't. Well, I'm not going to tell you if you know. And he was like, you talking about where I duck my head? And he was like, oh, so you do know. And he's like, you're not going to kick me with your left leg when I duck my head. So
5 years
4
later.
years later, that's exactly how he knocked
and
him
then
out.
Oh, Joe Rogan interviews him. He doesn't know. He's on planet Mars.
That was a bad move by Rogan, man. That was a bad move by Rogan. You can't interview
Yeah,
someone
he
after they get knocked out.
apologized for that. I think,
yeah.
that was DC was. But I mean, that's something they normally did. Joe Rogan doesn't want to do that. I think the UFC actually might encourage.
No one
Joe
wants to see a grown man cry.
out against it.
No one wants to see a grown man cry.
Yeah, Joe Rogan came out saying how much he regretted doing that.
Well, Rogan's a good guy, but then again, I'm not so sure about the other bald-headed guy running the show.
Yeah, you don't know who's in his ear though.
Evil Joe Rogan.
Evil.
Hey, some people say he's a CIA shill.
No, I just there was before they commentated together. He had a mustache. They're both bald, but he had a mustache and Joe didn't. So they said he had the mustache, so he was Evil Joe Rogan, and that was Evil Joe Rogan and other Joe Rogan.
So what's the big fights coming up?
This weekend we've got UFC Poirier versus Gaethje. The co-main event was going to be Matt Brown versus Carlos Condit. Matt Brown was injured, so now Cowboy Oliveira stepping in versus Carlos Condit. So that's still going to be a good fight. Also, Israel Adesanya, speaking of John Jones, that's Non-Jones. That's the guy that made his debut at UFC 221. He's a middleweight. He's the guy that, like, pissed in the cage, and he was like, I'm marking my territory. Like, got a lot of charisma. He's a really exciting striker. Like, he came from a kickbox. Like, he's got one of those crazy backgrounds where he's a really good striker. But he was took down 3 times in his debut, so he showed he can get back up. But I'm telling you, keep your eye on Israel Adesanya if you like John Jones. He's got so many comparisons to John Jones. He literally uses the hashtag #NonJones. So it's like,
who's he fighting?
Good elbows.
He's fighting Marvin Vettori, and I think they moved it up to the co-main event since Matt Brown fell out of the fight.
Okay.
And so it's going to be on Fox. There's a lot of other good fights on the card because it's on Fox.
Yeah.
And then next week we've got Kevin Lee versus Edson Barboza, and then also on that card is Aljamain Sterling versus Brett the Pikey Johns. We got some really good fights coming up on top of UFC 225. UFC 225 is not the next pay-per-view. Next pay-per-view is in Brazil, UFC 224. But what do you guys think about UFC 225, Colby Covington versus Rafael Dos Anjos? That's the co-main event.
That's gonna be a thing. Isn't Covington running his cocksucker?
Yeah. He was supposed to be in Brazil. He was saying, the UFC had to buy me 2 plane tickets, one for me and one for my big nuts, to go back. And so now he's actually not going back to Brazil. He's going to Chicago, change of plans. Like, it looks like he didn't really want to die.
Dos Anjos, man. Dos Anjos has got freaking dynamite in his hands, man. I love watching him.
He's a good fighter, but I don't know. I don't know if it's a level of competition. He's kind of been.
That's the thing. If you're a really high level wrestler, you're going to be able to beat a lot of guys if you can cut weight. So he's one of the bigger guys. That's why RDA, he's probably a better mixed martial artist than Colby Covington, but Colby Covington's probably going to use his grappling, and he doesn't care if the crowd boos him. Yeah. If he's wrestle fucking a guy, which the crowd hates, boo! Yeah. He loves boos, so he's going to do that if he needs to win.
Yeah,
if you're going to be a wrestler, you better get that ground and pound going.
Check this out: Tyron Woodley lost to Rory McDonald. He doesn't have the best time against wrestlers. Yeah, right. Imagine that. If he becomes the interim champ, he fights Tyron Woodley next. Tyron Woodley doesn't have the best matchup against Colby Covington.
What do you think about that return of Woodley?
What do I think about Tyron Woodley, man? I think Tyron Woodley is a good champion. I think he might be on his way out of his prime. I think he's a good champion as far as he won his belt and defended it 3 times within a year. So he's getting, Now he's injured, yeah. So that's why we're going to see this interim title fight.
Yeah.
But
do you think that's right for them to take it? Even
for
though
the
he's
interim
injured?
title?
Yeah.
Only because they're not taking his belt, but making the interim fight
Right.
title, but only because Dana White recently said, Tyron Woodley was acting like it was a problem. Like if they make an interim title fight, I'm gonna be pissed. But Dana White came out and said, well, Tyron Woodley brought back a doctor's note that said he's going to be out till August.
Yeah.
So originally it was looking like if he's only going to be out till July, which is 1 or 2 more months, then an interim title fight, I don't really like it. But if he's going to be out till August, you got to get some welterweight fights rolling. We got Wonderboy versus Steel happening, Colby Covington and RDA. We got a lot of top guys up there.
Dana White's making a lot of fighters sour, man. Like, what about what's the Samoan man, Mark Hunt?
Mark Hunt, I think we haven't heard much about his lawsuit, but I think he might still be in a lawsuit with the UFC.
They swept that underneath the rug, but I mean, he was right because you're talking about Jones getting put out, but then what about Lesnar just because he came back for his money fight,
Oh, and how about they're bringing it sounds like Lesnar might be coming back. Dana White's like, yeah, Brock Lesnar's coming back, and they're sounding like it might be a title fight between, talking about Mark Hunt, that's where Brock Lesnar got suspended.
Right.
He fought. Everyone assumed like, okay, he's going to be on steroids, but they're like, all right, prove us
wrong.
He
has to be. He's
and he turns out he was, and so now it's looking like he might get rewarded for beating a guy, with a title shot when he comes back.
He sells tickets, man.
He's got health problems because of his drug abuse, man. Like,
dude, he's the size of a freaking
his liver
SUV.
problems and all that stuff is all because of all that crap.
Well, is there any stacked cards coming up? Like, I want to see TJ Dillashaw fight again.
Yeah.
They're fighting at UFC 227. That rematch is booked. TJ Dillashaw versus Cody Garbrandt.
Oh, yes.
It's booked. So it's looking like we're going to be seeing Demetrius Johnson's going to be fighting Henry Cejudo 2, since we're not seeing DJ versus TJ. I know it's not the same. Oh, yes, fucking DJ versus Cejudo 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, it's not that. But UFC 226 is going to be like a huge card. That's where you're going to see Cormier versus Miocic. Ooh. And, they're going to make that it's in Las Vegas, so they're going to stack that card pretty heavy. But UFC 225 is going to have 2 title fights. That's where Whitaker's fighting Romero. Mm-hmm. Also Covington versus RDA. CM Punk's on that card, not really mixed martial arts, but he's on that card. Which
he's hella good.
That's actually good by the UFC. With Covington on the same card as CM Punk, the same type of crowd. The WWE guys are going to love Colby Covington.
You said Steep. You said Steep and Cormier?
Yeah, for heavyweight.
Boy.
Yep.
And Lesnar's rumored to fight the winner of that.
No.
Yeah, in December.
That's cool.
Well, I don't know. I'm excited. I want one of those cards. Hell, I might do like a live stream or something.
Is Alistair Overeem still hanging around?
Yeah. Alistair Overeem's fighting in UFC 225 on the
he was supposed to be like God's gift to heavyweight. And then, and then he went away, and now he's kind of coming around, and it's K1 kickboxing, and I don't know. He looked like he was going to be something.
He's fighting Curtis Blades.
Yeah.
The guy that just beat Mark Hunt.
Cool. Well,
so what's up with GSP? Is he? What was that? Was that a money grab, or is he really coming back to fight?
The last time I saw a picture of GSP, he was looking super skinny. So it's looking like, and there's been rumors lately that the UFC is going to add a 165-pound division. So if he doesn't cut all the way to 155, he could for sure be in the, brand new 165-pound division title fight. Like there's talks of GSP versus maybe Conor McGregor at 165 pounds.
That'd be a good fight.
GSP versus Khabib even. Khabib recently called him out.
No way.
Yep.
What do you think about Khabib?
I like to see that little gauntlet go down, man.
Man, I think Khabib is a dominant force, and it's kind of like, with Colby Covington, how you have such strong wrestling, you're gonna have a lot of good matchups. So with Khabib, he's dominant, and there's a lot of going around. A lot of people saying he's never lost a round, which I don't know if that's the case, but still, he's a dominant fighter to say the least. But with Tony Ferguson, we were going to see something we had never saw out of Khabib Nurmagomedov. Khabib is a wrestler, but Tony Ferguson's a guy that's good off his back. He's got elbows and submissions.
He's so unique with his movements, Tony Ferguson.
Exactly, and so. He fought Michael Johnson before, Edson Barboza before. They're kind of strikers. They're not guys known for submitting or just knocking, throwing elbows off their back. So it ended up he got to fight another striker. So Khabib is, I do believe, the best lightweight in the world when it comes to Conor McGregor and Tony Ferguson. I think he'd be the favorite. because Conor, he's more of a striker. So unless Conor knocks him out, he would probably try and out-grapple him. And then as far as Tony Ferguson's concerned, he's kind of hoping for a submission. And you know what I'm saying? So I think Khabib's the best lightweight in the world, but I think he's still yet to be tested against a Tony Ferguson style because it's so unique. So I really want to see that fight, but I think he's the best in the world right now.
Yeah. Though I don't even want to get into the damn pound for pound rankings. That's just it's a shit show.
I think it looks like a popularity contest at this point.
Who sells the most tickets? That's what they should just.
Last week, GSP, like he was ranked number 4, and like out of nowhere, he hasn't fought anyone in like this last week. He jumped to number 3, right under Conor McGregor. So it's like, how did he just jump in the rankings over Cormier or Miocic? You know, they're fighting too. You know, you would think even if it's marketing, leave them up there until GSP fights.
Number 1?
But
Mighty Mouse.
DJ.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It goes DJ, Conor, GSP right now.
Cool.
Well, cool. Now you brought that up. I want to close on that actually, because I know you have to go soon. This past the week or couple weeks going into that last fight, a shit show and completely terrible for the UFC. And they tried to salvage it, but they didn't. I thought they might have with the Max. What do you think? What do you think was going through Dana White's mind in those 2 weeks?
Starting with the April Fool's thing, the Max Holloway injury being on April Fool's.
You mean Tony Ferguson?
Tony Ferguson, yeah. Man, it seems like it started at Max Holloway. No, Tony Ferguson happened first. Well, first, that had to have blown his mind, right? You know,
what are the chances for that, though?
And he tripped over a cord with Dana White. You know, Dana White said, you know, I heard he had his sunglasses on.
Oh, them stupid-ass sunglasses?
Yeah, could you imagine Dana White? Like, he probably fucking hated Tony Ferguson for 1 second. You know what I'm saying? So,
him and his Neo glasses.
Then Max Holloway. And then the Conor McGregor situation. I don't even know what could have been going through Dana's mind. I don't know how, you know, because you got to not only take it all in, but you've got to react to it as well and get stuff going. So as far as what I was going through Dana White's mind, I'm not sure. But I did hear that he said it ended up not being too bad because even though some people wanted their refunds, some people wanted refunds because they, you know, some of the hardcore fans, because we lost 4 fights, there was a lot of buzz. So a lot of people who didn't really care about UFC bought it in return. So it was kind of a trade-off. So he said they didn't, as far as business-wise, they didn't take too much of a hit. And then also did you guys see that guy Zabit Magomedsharipov? Did you see his fight?
Nuh-uh. Wait. Actually, I think I know what you're talking about.
Zabit fought Kyle Bochniak, and it was fight of the night. He's a guy from Dagestan, but he's a super entertaining striker. I'll tell you what, to close on that, I suggest you or anybody go make sure you watch that fight because he was doing cartwheel kicks with intention. Like, it was insane, the crazy striking
Say the name one more time.
Zabit Magomedsharipov. He fought on the UFC 223.
You got that, bro?
Yeah, I got it.
You need that spelled for you?
Yeah, he's popping up right here, man.
Him, bro. His opponent fucking was in there. Like, he knew he was a huge underdog, but he was in there with the attitude, getting beat up, but still coming in there. Like, it was such an amazing fight. So, yeah, I really think.
Okay, yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about. He can't. Okay. I heard about that in that last round where he was just swinging.
All 3 rounds, he was doing it in the first and second round too, but his opponent was doing stuff and still winning the fight with crazy techniques. That fight, he definitely earned a lot of fans. Like Luke Thomas, I heard there was a lot of people saying, man, he's the best fighter I've ever seen. Like some of the media guys, his trainers, I believe he trains with Mark Henry and Eddie Alvarez and some of those guys, Frankie Edgar, and they say like he beats everyone's ass, you know, that he trains with. So, I mean, they didn't say he beats Eddie Alvarez's ass, like name drop him, but they did say like he's the best fighter that they probably have. So there's a lot of hype behind him, and he definitely delivered in this fight. And his opponent made the fight that much funner, though, his opponent's personality and style. So that is one fight that I think is fight of the night that I'll probably go back and watch just, you know, later tonight or something.
For sure, definitely. Definitely. But hey, thank you for coming on, dude. And one of those cards, man, I might do a live stream. If you ever want to do a fight companion or something, let me know. Because I'll be on, man. That'd be awesome.
Once I get my internet fixed, which I think I might have done today, like they said it was our router. We got a new router, so I want to try and live stream, but normally it cuts in and out. But Yeah, that's, some people have asked for that. So yeah, I'd love to do that sometime in the future. So thanks for having me on.
No problem, dude. Thank you.
It's a pleasure
And
to meet you.
like I said, it feels like I don't have that many people to talk MMA about, and this was kind of rushed. I kind of my earlier show, you know how that goes. But yeah, you want to plug anything? You plug any social media or anything?
Just Full Time MMA on YouTube. On there, I've got my social media links because Full Time MMA was taken on Twitter, so it's like MMA Full Time. It's just a little backwards. So yeah, just Full Time MMA on YouTube for now. That's really what I'm focusing on. But thanks, man. Thanks for having me on. This was fun.
Not a problem.
And
dude.
nice meeting you too.
It was nice to meet you, man. Have a good one.
See you, man.
Yep, you too. See you.
Peace. And that's gonna be it, guys. Have a blessed day.
Toodles. That's cool, man.